Hello students, after the discussion of Bragg's law and Law's equation, now the next topic is experimental methods in X-ray diffraction. So today we are going to discuss about different experimental methods in X-ray diffraction used to study crystal structure. And the first experimental method is Law's method. In this method, a single crystal is held stationary on a goniometer so that angle theta is fixed, and a beam of continuous X-rays is allowed to incident on this single crystal. Now the dimension of this single crystals which we are want to study is of 1 millimeter into 1 millimeter into 1 millimeter, and the wavelength of radiation used to study the structure of this crystal is lie in wavelength range of about 0.2 to 2 angstrom. So X-ray beam of variable wavelength is allowed to incident on a single crystal in such a way that this crystal is placed on goniometer and angle theta is fixed. So when these radiations interact with the crystal planes, then for certain value of lambda and d, for which Bragg's law satisfy. Bragg's law is 2d sine theta is equals to n lambda. So for certain values of d and lambda, for which this Bragg's law gets satisfied, we get diffraction patterns on the photographic film. As you can see, here are two photographic films are placed. This one is for for the reflected X-ray beam, and this is for the diffracted X-ray beam. So the diffraction pattern filmed on this photographic film will explain the symmetry of crystal structure, which we had held on this goniometer. So in this method, X-ray which are used to study crystal structure are of variable wavelength, and this method is used to determine the symmetry of crystal. For example, if we want to if this crystal is oriented such that having this crystal have four-fold symmetry axis and is oriented such that then the pattern means dots we are observing on this photographic film will lead to four-fold symmetry on. So these dots will arrange in such a manner that these dots will explains the four-fold symmetry of this single crystal. So the importance of this method is that it is used to determine the crystal symmetry. But there is also a limitation of this method is that as we are using X-rays of continuous wavelengths, so it's become so in this case a number of wavelengths may be reflected from a single plane in different order, and they superimpose at a single point and result in a loss of number of reflections. So this method is mainly used to determine the crystal symmetry, and also such experiments are used particularly in such crystals where there is an excessive absorption of X-rays. So the first method is the Law's method, in which a variable X-ray wavelength is allowed to hit on a single crystal, and this single crystal is fixed on this spindle. So for which this Bragg's condition gets satisfied, we get this dots on this photographic film, and these arrangement of dots explains the symmetry of crystal. In this picture, as you can see, this first image explains the transmission, means from this point we had incident X-ray beam on crystal, and these spots explains the symmetry of this single crystal. And this photographic film which is at this position, then this is for the X-ray beams which are get reflected from this single crystal. So first experimental method is the Law's method. Now let's discuss about the second experimental method, which is the crystal rotating method. As you have seen in first case in Lowe's method, there we had used continuous X-rays, continuous wavelength of X-rays. But in case of crystal rotating method, this is the arrangement of crystal rotating method. This is the crystal rotating method to determine the crystal structure. So in this method here, X-ray beam which is used to analyze crystal are of monochromatic wavelength. So a single wavelength X-ray beam is used to study this crystal. But now in this case, this single crystal is placed on this rotating shaft which is allowed to rotate with the help of this electric motor. So in this case, if lambda is fixed, now theta is changing as we have placed this sample on a rotating shaft. So for a single wavelength, this rotation will face different planes, gives the different plane in front of X-ray beam. So for particular orientations, means for particular theta, where this condition 2d sine theta is equals to n lambda, means lambda here is fixed but theta is changing as we have put this single crystal on a rotating shaft. So for particular value of d, theta and lambda, this Bragg's condition were satisfied, we get the diffraction pattern. And now in this case, in case of crystal rotating method, the photographic film is fixed inside this inside the walls of this cylinder. You can see the arrangement of crystal rotating method. In this there is a this is a cylinder, and from here there is a rotating shaft on which single crystal is placed, and this is the hole from which monochromatic X-ray beams are allowed to hit on this single crystal, and the photographic film is mounted on the ball of this cylinder. Now in case of crystal rotating method, this single crystal is placed such that one of crystallographic axis is aligned with this rotation axis. So suppose there are three crystallographic axes A, B, C. Then out of these three crystallographic axes, one of crystallographic axis will coincide with the rotating this rotation axis. Clear? And in case of rotating crystal method, in this way we get the diffraction pattern. As you can see, the photographic film is mounted inside the wall of this cylinder. So in this way we get the diffraction pattern at the wall. Now how we get the diffraction pattern? As we had discussed that in case of crystal rotating method, the single crystal is placed on this rotating shaft in such a way that one of crystallographic axis will coincide with the rotation axis. So suppose here we have in single crystal there are different planes oriented at different angles and have Miller indices, suppose HKL. Clear? So suppose we have we have placed single crystal in such a way that axis A coincide with the rotation axis. Clear? So at location 0 KL we get the pattern here. This is for the plane 0 KL. Now the diffraction pattern will be obtained at above and below this 0 value. So above and below we get HKL, different value we get diffraction pattern for different HKL, and below this we get H bar KL diffraction pattern. Clear? I repeat again. Here in this case of crystal rotating method, the crystallographic axis is coincide with the rotation axis. Suppose there are three crystallographic axes A, B and C, and suppose A is coincide with the rotation axis. Clear? So there are different planes having different HKL values. Suppose if we have coincide A crystallographic axis with rotation axis, then at center of this center means diffraction pattern with coincide with this incident beam, then this pattern will be for the 0 KL, and diffraction pattern for HKL is above this 0, and diffraction pattern for minus HKL is below this 0. Clear? Let's suppose we have coincide C axis with the rotation axis. Then in that case, at this position we get the diffraction pattern for plane HK0, and for diffraction pattern for HKL is above this 0 and above this 0 layer, and diffraction pattern for H bar KL is below this layer, 0 layer. Clear? So now the distance between these layers indicates the lattice points located at that crystallographic axis. Suppose in first case we have fixed a crystallographic axis with crystal rotation, so we have get the diffraction pattern in layers in this way, and the distance between these layers means from 0 to 1 represents the position of lattice points on that crystallographic axis. So in this way we can locate the lattice points on a particular crystallographic axis, and in this way we can determine value of A, B, C, which are the lattice parameters. So this crystal rotating method is used to determine the dimension of unit cell, and from this we can further determine about the structure of crystal. Now the next method that we are going to discuss about is the powder method. हमने पहले दो मेथड्स में देखा जो कि लोज मेथड और रोटेटिंग क्रिस्टल मेथड्स हैं. इन दोनों मेथड्स की मेन जो लिमिटेशन है वो ये है कि इन दोनों में जो सैंपल यूज़ किया जा रहा है दैट सैंपल मस्ट बी सिंगल क्रिस्टल and having dimensions of about 1 millimeter. Clear? Now in this case, in powder method, this limitation can be overcome, because in this case we use sample in powder form, and also the sample which we are going to study is need not to be a single crystal. It's not important that it must be a single crystal. So this is used to study polycrystalline materials. Now the experimental arrangement of this method is such that in powder method, as you can see in this picture here, now in this case a capillary tube is used in which a powder is filled inside this tube, and now X-ray beam is allowed to hit on this capillary tube, and this film is placed like this, in this way, and the diffraction pattern for which lambda, d and theta satisfied, we get diffraction pattern for those planes, and we get diffraction pattern on this film. Now in case of in this powder crystal method, powder X-ray diffraction method, in this case we have used polycrystalline material, and also we have placed this powder in a capillary tube, and this capillary tube must be material of this capillary tube must be chosen in such that this must not diffract X-ray beam, because we want to study about crystal which is inside that capillary tube. Now this powder consists of small crystallites, and for which and also are randomly oriented with respect to this X-ray beam. Now in case of powder method, this X-ray beam which is incident on this sample is monochromatic beam, and for particular orientations for which theta, d get satisfied for this lambda value, we get diffraction pattern on the films. And also the diffracted rays corresponding to fixed values of theta and d lie on the surface of cone with its apex at the sample. As you can see here, this for which value of, for those values of theta and d for which Bragg's law satisfies, these diffraction patterns will lie on the surface of cone, on this surface of cone, and its apex is located at the center where sample is placed. So in case of powder method, in this way, this on this film, if we plot this cone's curve on this film, then it will look like this. Like you can see in this picture, this is for the these are arc for the beam which is entering inside this experimental setup, and this side is for the beam which is getting out after interaction with the sample. Now if this is central spot, as you can see here, this is central spot, then we get the impression of this arc on this film on the left and right of this sample. This is for the incident beam, which is entering inside sample, and this is for the diffraction pattern, and also this is center point. Then we get arc of this cones on this film. This is center, and these arc are located at this right and left. If we complete this arc, then it will make a circle, and if we complete a cone behind this in this way, then this cone will have center at where sample is placed. Clear? Now see in this picture, if this is the line through which incident beam X-ray beam is incident on sample, and suppose imagine this particular cone through which we are, this is a cone, and these arcs, these particular arc will get filmed around this particular center. This is a center. If we make this, then we get a arc to right and left. Clear? Now this makes angle 2 theta with this line, and this make angle 2 theta with line. So the complete cone angle is 4 theta. Clear? Now this 4 theta angle is equals to the distance between these arcs. Suppose this distance is d1 from center. Now this distance is d2. Then 4 theta is equals to distance between these arcs. if जैसे कि जैसे आप इस पिक्चर में देख रहे हैं कि अगर ये फोटोग्राफिक फिल्म इस तरह से ली गई है, तो यहाँ पर इस कोन की हमें आर्क दिखाई दे रही है, और इन आर्क को कंप्लीट करें तो ये क्या बना रहा है, सर्कल। और इस सर्कल का जो सर्कल से अगर कोन कंप्लीट करें तो ये कोन का सेंटर यहाँ, कोन का एपेक्स कहाँ पर है, दिस इज एट द पोजीशन वेयर सैंपल इज प्लेस्ड. So if we find this 4 theta, then this 4 theta is the distance between these arcs, means this left and right. Then suppose this is d1, and upon the radius of the camera, camera means which we have used for study this diffraction pattern. So we know about the radius of camera used, and from the photographic film we can determine this d. D is the distance between these arcs. So from here we can determine angle theta, and this angle, when we substitute in the Bragg's condition for n is equal to 1, means for first order, then this will be sine theta is equals to lambda. So after substituting this angle theta, and we know about the wavelength which we have used for study this sample, so we can determine this d value. So in this way, by using powder method, we can determine the we can know about the interplanar spacing d. And this d is related with lattice parameters, which is reciprocal of h square over a square plus k square over b square plus l square over c square power 1/2. So in this way we can know about the crystal structure. So this is all about 3 experimental methods used to study crystal structure. Thank you, students.